All right, the next determinant here focuses on the cost of resources. So this is a really big category because there are a lot of costs that factor into how a company is operating, right? If you remember at the beginning of the semester, we talked about the four factors of production, but really we focus on three: land, labor, and capital, right? Those natural resources that are needed, the capital goods, the tools, the equipment, the chemicals, all the buildings, all that other stuff. And then the labor factor, the human factor of production, right? So anytime any of those costs change, it's going to change the operating cost. And then that either increases or decreases profit motive. And so we see supply change. Okay, so this is, again, a really big one because there are a lot of costs that go in here. Businesses have something that are called fixed costs, which means it's things that they pay every month and the amounts are relatively the same. So this could be things like rent or loan payments, electricity, water, wages, that kind of thing. Your variable costs are things that change month to month. You're not always paying for them, or the amount that you are paying differs. Okay, so this can be, like I said, this can be wages. This could be the cost of different resources. This could be availability for products that you're selling. So if it's more difficult to get a product, that raises your cost. You got to get it elsewhere. That takes time. That takes other resources. So what we see happening here is that if the cost of resources increases, it becomes more expensive to operate, less profit motive, and so supply would decrease. If the opposite happens, in which there's a decrease in the cost, then it is cheaper to produce. You have more of a profit motive, and so businesses would supply more. Okay, but anything that's tied to cost fits in this category. All right, the next one is technology. So we didn't include it with productivity because it's its own thing. Even though technology improves productivity, technology lowers the cost to produce, it gets its own category here. Okay, so this can be anything that is machine equipment. If we're talking kitchens, like stoves, like anything at all, software, anything electronic that helps in the production, the supply of a product fits here. Okay, so if a business increases its technology, it invests in technology, it's going to increase productivity because it makes the job easier and faster. It lowers their cost to operate because they don't have to pay taxes, they don't have to pay regular wages. It's an expensive upfront cost, but over time, having technology in place is cheaper than having humans work there. Okay, so an increase in technology will lead to an increase in supply. And if their technology decreases, that looks like outdated software. It looks like machines breaking down. It looks like computers that are really slow and it takes a lot of time for them to work. It looks like credit card machines that don't work all the time, right? So that would be a decrease in technology that makes the job more difficult, that slows things down, and so that would decrease supply. Okay, so anything machine related fits in this category. The last one here is future expectations. So although it's titled the same as the one we had with demand, we're looking at something completely different here. So for supply, future expectations looks at what do we think consumers will be doing later? What will they have demand in later? And businesses will increase or decrease their supply based on that. Okay, it takes time for businesses to make, produce, distribute, advertise, and stock stores. So they need to know months in advance what they think consumers are going to do, and that's how they produce. Okay, so for example, in the TV show American Dad, Stan, in one episode, he makes these bears that are holiday focused, but he doesn't start making them until the holidays, like right around the corner. So he's hand making all of these bears, and by the time the holiday hits and goes, he's finally done. Well, nobody wants to buy the bears once the holidays pass. They want it ahead of time. Okay, he wasn't planning for this future expectation. Okay, had he done this months ahead, he may have been able to sell them, but he didn't. He didn't plan ahead. If we are, as of Friday, like 43 days away from Christmas, if businesses just now started making Christmas stuff and then waited weeks to start putting it out, it's too late. right? They need to have it available for consumers before consumers are ready to buy, right? That way they know, consumers know where to go. Okay, so what this looks like is that when consumers, when businesses expect consumer interest to be high later, when they expect the demand to be high later, they make more now, supply increases now. And when they know, okay, the holiday is going to end, the season is ending, the event is ending, they change their production to something else. And so their current supply for that thing decreases because they expect later consumer demand to be low. Okay, so stores will be starting to switch, or production will start to switch to New Year's or to Valentine's Day, because they know that's going to be coming up and Christmas is almost here and past. And so they're done focusing on that. Okay, so those are the 8 determinants why businesses will offer more or less, depending on how they're doing. So if you want to quiz yourself, go to the agenda for Friday, go to the exit slip, and you're going to match the determinant with its description. But otherwise, that will be the 8 for today, and then we will build on this in later lessons.